There's a secret in the coin world that most collectors will never tell you out loud, because the moment you understand it, you start seeing money hiding in plain sight, right in your pocket, right in circulation. And sometimes, it's already been spent without anyone noticing. Today, we're going to talk about the top 4 most valuable wheat Lincoln pennies in the world. Coins so overlooked that people literally give them away for 1 cent, while others quietly sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. And if you blink, you might miss what makes them special. First coin, the 1951 D wheat penny. This is not just another old cent. In high grade, this coin becomes a collector's target. But here's the shocking part. Most people don't even check the mint mark. That tiny D can be the difference between pocket change and a serious payday. Every day, these coins slip through hands unnoticed. Second coin, the 1953 D wheat penny. This one carries history, scarcity, and demand all at once. It doesn't shine like gold, but collectors know its hidden strength. The value jumps dramatically when condition is right, yet millions are still being spent like they are nothing special. Third coin, the 1957 D wheat penny. This is where things get dangerous for collectors because it looks too common, too normal. But hidden varieties and high-grade examples make this penny one of the most quietly searched coins in the wheat series. People overlook it daily and regret it later. And finally, the fourth coin, the 1958 D wheat penny. This is the end of the wheat penny era, which alone makes it historically important. End-series coins often become highly collectible, and this one is no exception. Some versions and conditions can turn a simple penny into a surprise value coin. Now listen carefully, because this is where most people lose money without even realizing it. These coins are still circulating, still being spent, still sitting in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks. And every single day, someone lets one go for just 1 cent. Do not make that mistake. Lincoln wheat penny, 1951. Imagine reaching into an old coin jar, pulling out what looks like nothing more than an ordinary penny, and discovering that collectors are willing to pay an incredible amount of money for it. It sounds impossible, but stories like this continue to fuel the excitement of coin collecting around the world. Every year, forgotten collections are rediscovered, inherited boxes are opened, and old jars filled with spare change reveal coins that turn out to be far more valuable than anyone expected. Today on Jackpot Coin, we're taking a closer look at one of the most talked about modern wheat cents among collectors, the 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it appears to be just another old copper cent, but beneath its simple appearance lies a fascinating story of history, condition, rarity, and the thrill of discovery. The 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny was struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small D mint mark located just below the date. Millions of these pennies entered circulation during a period when America was experiencing rapid economic growth after World War II. They passed through grocery stores, restaurants, banks, schools, and countless everyday transactions. Most of them became worn after decades of circulation, collecting scratches, discoloration, and signs of heavy use. Because of that, finding one today in exceptional condition has become increasingly difficult. Many people assume that because millions were minted, every 1951 D penny is common and worth only 1 cent. Experienced collectors know better. In the world of numismatics, rarity is only part of the equation. Condition can completely transform the value of a coin. 2 pennies struck on the same day can have dramatically different values simply because one survived with its original mint surfaces while the other spent decades changing hands. One of the first things experts examine is the coin's color. Copper naturally changes over time. Most surviving examples are classified as brown because years of exposure darken the metal. Others are designated red-brown, showing a mixture of original mint color and natural toning. The most desirable examples are full red coins that still display the bright orange-red luster they had when leaving the mint. These beautifully preserved pieces attract intense competition whenever they appear on the market because they become increasingly difficult to find as the decades pass. Collectors also pay close attention to the quality of the strike. A sharply struck 1951 D wheat penny will display crisp details throughout Lincoln's portrait. The hair above his ear should be well defined, the cheek should appear smooth and full, and the lettering should remain sharp and bold. On the reverse, the wheat ears should show strong individual lines with clear separation between the grains. These small details often make the difference between an ordinary collectible and one that captures serious attention. Another major factor is originality. Many beginners believe cleaning an old coin will increase its value, but the opposite is usually true. Professional collectors prefer coins with untouched surfaces. Even gentle polishing can permanently damage the original finish, reducing collector demand. That's why experts recommend leaving old coins exactly as they are until they can be evaluated properly. A naturally preserved coin is almost always more desirable than one that has been cleaned. Now the story becomes even more interesting. While standard 1951 D pennies are popular, collectors become especially excited when mint errors are involved. Error coins are accidental products of the minting process, making them much scarcer than normal examples. These unusual pieces often become the highlights of advanced collections because every error tells a different story about what happened during production. Some collectors search carefully for doubled die varieties, where parts of the design appear doubled under magnification. Others inspect for off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planches, lamination errors, repunched mint marks, or unusual surface characteristics. Although most 1951 D pennies are perfectly normal, discovering an authentic mint error can completely change the coin's desirability among specialists. Professional grading also plays a critical role in determining value. Independent grading companies carefully examine coins for authenticity, preservation, strike quality, luster, and eye appeal before assigning an official numerical grade. Sometimes the difference between two consecutive grades can significantly increase market demand. That is why collectors handle valuable coins with great care, avoiding fingerprints or unnecessary contact that could affect the surfaces. Perhaps the most exciting part of collecting wheat pennies is that discoveries still happen today. People continue finding overlooked coins inside family collections, estate sales, bank rolls, flea markets, antique shops, and forgotten jars filled with loose change. Every discovery reminds collectors that valuable coins do not always come from famous auctions or museum collections. Sometimes they appear in the most ordinary places imaginable. If you happen to own a 1951 D Lincoln wheat penny, there are several details worth examining carefully. First, confirm the Denver D mint mark beneath the date. Next, inspect the coin under good lighting. Look for strong original color, clean surfaces, sharp details, and any unusual features that appear different from a normal strike. Examine the lettering, the date, Lincoln's portrait, and the wheat ears on the reverse. Small differences often make a very big impact in the collecting world. Beyond its collectible appeal, the 1951 wheat penny also represents an important piece of American history. It circulated during a period of optimism, industrial growth, and expanding communities. Every scratch and every worn surface tells part of the journey that coin experienced over decades of everyday commerce. Holding one today is like holding a small piece of the early 1950s in the palm of your hand. Stories of remarkable coin discoveries continue to inspire collectors around the world. Exceptional Lincoln wheat pennies with extraordinary preservation, rare mint errors, or unique characteristics have achieved astonishing results in major auctions, reminding everyone that careful examination can sometimes reveal unexpected treasures. While most examples remain affordable collectibles, the finest and rarest pieces continue attracting strong interest from serious numismatists. So before you spend another old penny without taking a closer look, pause for a moment. That ordinary-looking 1951 Lincoln wheat penny might hold far more history, beauty, and collector interest than you ever imagined. Every coin has a story waiting to be discovered, and every collection begins with a single piece worth examining more carefully. If you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, be sure to subscribe to Jackpot Coin for more incredible discoveries, hidden treasures, valuable mint errors, and unforgettable coin stories. Leave a comment below telling us the oldest wheat penny you've ever found. Share this video with fellow collectors, and remember, your next great discovery could already be sitting quietly inside your pocket, waiting for someone to recognize its true importance. Lincoln wheat penny, 1953. What if the next penny you pull from an old coin jar isn't just another piece of spare change, but a forgotten treasure that collectors dream about finding? It sounds impossible. After all, millions of pennies pass through people's hands every single day, and almost no one stops to examine them. They get tossed into drawers, dropped into piggy banks, or left sitting in dusty containers for years. But hidden among those ordinary-looking coins could be one small copper cent that tells an incredible story. Today on Jackpot Coin, we're taking a closer look at the fascinating 1953 Lincoln wheat penny, a coin that continues to capture the attention of collectors because of its history, condition rarity, and the exciting possibility of valuable mint errors. At first glance, the 1953 wheat penny doesn't appear unusual. Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait is featured on the front, while two elegant wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent on the reverse. The small D mint mark beneath the date tells us this coin was struck at the Denver Mint. During 1953, hundreds of millions of Lincoln wheat pennies were produced for circulation across America. They traveled through grocery stores, gas stations, restaurants, movie theaters, and countless everyday purchases. Because they were made to be spent, very few survived in the same beautiful condition they displayed when they first left the mint. That is exactly where the excitement begins. Most 1953 pennies spent decades being handled by countless people. Every trip through a cash register added tiny scratches. Every pocket introduced more wear. Every year reduced the number of well-preserved examples still existing today. As time passed, finding a coin with brilliant original surfaces became increasingly difficult. Collectors understand that rarity is not always about low mintage. Sometimes rarity comes from finding an ordinary coin in extraordinary condition. Professional collectors carefully inspect every detail before deciding whether a coin deserves a place in their collection. They examine Lincoln's hair, the cheek, jawline, coat, lettering, and every line of the wheat ears on the reverse. Strong strikes with sharp details are always preferred because they showcase the design exactly as the engraver intended. Even slight weakness in certain areas can make two otherwise identical coins very different in desirability. Another important characteristic is color. Copper changes naturally as it ages. Most surviving wheat pennies develop dark brown surfaces after decades of circulation and exposure to the environment. Others retain a mixture of original mint color and brown toning, often described as red-brown. The most desirable examples are those that still display bright original red surfaces, almost as if they had just been struck yesterday. These brilliant red coins become much harder to locate with each passing decade, making them especially attractive to advanced collectors. One mistake many beginners make is trying to clean an old penny. They believe polishing will improve its appearance. Unfortunately, the opposite is usually true. Cleaning removes the natural surfaces that collectors value the most. Even gentle polishing can leave tiny hairline scratches that permanently reduce collector interest. If you ever believe you've discovered an unusual wheat penny, the safest decision is to leave it exactly as you found it. Now the story becomes even more interesting. While most 1953D wheat pennies are common circulated coins, a small number display unusual minting characteristics that attract serious attention. Mint errors have always fascinated collectors because they represent unexpected moments during the production process. A slight mechanical problem inside the mint can transform an ordinary 1-cent coin into a fascinating collectible. Collectors often search for doubled lettering, repunched mint marks, die cracks, clipped planchets, off-center strikes, broad strikes, and other unusual production varieties. Some errors are immediately visible with the naked eye, while others require magnification to appreciate fully. These unexpected features make every coin unique and add another level of excitement to the hunt. Imagine opening an old family coin collection that has remained untouched for decades. Among hundreds of ordinary pennies sits one 1953 D wheat penny with unusually sharp details and blazing original color. At first it seems no different from the rest, but after careful examination, subtle doubling appears in the lettering, or an unusual die crack stretches across the design. Suddenly, what looked like an ordinary penny becomes the center of attention. Stories like these explain why thousands of collectors continue searching through bank rolls, inherited collections, estate sales, flea markets, antique shops, and forgotten coin jars. Every search carries the possibility of discovering something that previous owners never recognized. That sense of possibility keeps the hobby alive generation after generation. Professional grading services also play a major role in today's coin market. Authentication confirms that a coin is genuine, while grading evaluates its state of preservation using internationally recognized standards. Sometimes the difference of a single grading point can dramatically change collector demand. Coins with exceptional eye appeal often generate the strongest interest because advanced collectors compete fiercely for the finest known examples. If you own a 1953D Lincoln wheat penny, take a careful look before assuming it is worth only 1 cent. Examine the surfaces under good lighting. Look for original mint luster. Inspect the wheat ears for strong detail. Check the lettering for unusual doubling or other mint-made characteristics. Notice whether the coin has been cleaned or damaged. Even small details can completely change the way collectors evaluate a coin. Beyond its collectible appeal, the 1953 D wheat penny also represents an important period in American history. It circulated during a time of economic growth and optimism following World War II. Millions of Americans carried these coins in their pockets, while the nation experienced rapid technological progress, expanding suburbs and changing lifestyles. Holding one today is like holding a small piece of everyday American history frozen in copper. That combination of history, rarity in top condition, and the ongoing search for unusual varieties is exactly why the 1953 D Lincoln Wheat Penny continues attracting collectors around the world. While most examples remain affordable, exceptional coins with outstanding preservation or remarkable mint errors can generate extraordinary excitement whenever they appear on the market. Every year, new discoveries remind collectors that remarkable treasures can still be hiding in ordinary places. So before you spend another old wheat penny without looking twice, take a moment to inspect it carefully. The coin sitting quietly in an old jar, tucked away in a forgotten drawer, or passed down through generations could hold far more than sentimental value. It might represent a remarkable chapter of American history and become the discovery every collector hopes to make. If you enjoyed today's story, subscribe to Jackpot Coin, like this video, share it with fellow collectors, and tell us in the comments which Lincoln Wheat Penny you would love to discover next. Until our next treasure hunt, keep searching, because the next incredible coin could already be waiting in your own collection. What if I told you that a simple 1-cent coin, the kind most people ignore or throw into a jar, could secretly hold the power to change the way you think about money forever? Imagine holding something worth just a penny in your hand. But somewhere in the world, collectors are fighting for versions of that same coin worth life-changing amounts. Today on Jackpot Coin, we are diving into a coin that looks ordinary but has created extraordinary excitement in the world of collectors. A coin that still shows up in circulation, still gets spent unknowingly, and still hides in old collections, waiting for the right eyes to discover its true value. But before you dismiss it as just another penny, listen carefully, because this one might surprise you more than you expect. Lincoln Wheat Penny, 1957 D. The 1957 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is one of those coins that represents the final years of the legendary wheat penny series, a design that ran from 1909 all the way to 1958. Struck at the Denver Mint, this coin carries the small D mint mark below the date, a simple detail that many people overlook but collectors instantly recognize. At first glance, it looks like any other copper cent you've seen before. Abraham Lincoln on the front, wheat stalks on the back, a design that became iconic in American coin history. But what makes this particular coin interesting is not just its design, but its story, condition rarity, and collector demand. In 1957, the United States Mint produced hundreds of millions of pennies. The economy was growing, people were spending more, and coins were moving rapidly through everyday life. Because of this massive production, most 1957 D pennies are extremely common today. You can still find them in old jars, estate collections, or even loose change. But here is where the real difference begins. While most of them are common, a very small percentage exist in exceptional condition, and those are the ones collectors chase aggressively. Condition is everything in the world of coin collecting. A 1957 D penny that has been heavily circulated, scratched, or darkened over time might only be worth its face value or slightly more. But a coin that has preserved its original mint red color, sharp details, and strong luster can be significantly more desirable. Collectors especially look for red specimens, which means the coin has maintained its original copper brightness since the day it was minted. These coins are much harder to find because copper naturally changes color over time when exposed to air, handling, and environment. Now let's talk about something even more exciting: mint errors. Error coins are one of the biggest reasons collectors get so interested in ordinary-looking pennies. The 1957 D wheat penny can sometimes show errors such as double die strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, or repunched mint marks. These mistakes happen during the minting process when something slightly goes wrong while the coin is being produced. Even a small error can transform a normal penny into a highly collectible piece. Some collectors spend years searching through rolls of coins just hoping to find one of these rare mistakes. Another important factor is grading. Professional services like PCGS and NGC evaluate coins based on their condition and assign them an official grade. A small difference in grade can sometimes mean a huge difference in value. For example, two coins that look almost identical to an untrained eye can have completely different market values simply because one has better preservation or fewer marks. That is why collectors often send their best coins for professional grading, hoping for a high mint state score. The history behind the 1957 D penny also adds to its appeal. It was created during a time when America was in a post-war economic boom. People were rebuilding their lives, industries were expanding, and coins like this were part of everyday trade. Holding one today is like holding a small piece of that era, a silent witness to a time when the world was very different from what it is now. Many people are shocked when they learn that certain rare examples or high-grade versions of common wheat pennies have reached astonishing figures in the collector market. While most 1957 D pennies are not valuable, exceptional specimens, especially those with perfect preservation or rare mint errors, have been known to attract serious attention from collectors. In some cases, rare coin discoveries across the wheat penny series have reached values that sound unbelievable for something that started as just 1 cent. That is why people still search through old collections, hoping they might be the lucky one to uncover something special. What makes this coin even more exciting is that it is still accessible. Unlike ancient coins locked away in museums, wheat pennies like the 1957 D still appear in circulation and old collections. This means anyone, anywhere, could potentially come across one without even realizing its significance. That possibility alone keeps collectors motivated and constantly searching. So the next time you see a copper penny with a small D under the date 1957, don't rush to ignore it. Take a closer look. Check its condition. Look for unusual marks or shine. Because in the world of coin collecting, value is not always obvious at first glance. Sometimes, the most ordinary-looking coin is the one with the most extraordinary story. And that is exactly what makes the 1957 D Lincoln wheat penny so fascinating. It is not just a piece of metal. It is history, rarity, possibility, and excitement all wrapped into one small coin. A coin that reminds us that treasures are not always hidden in vaults or museums. Sometimes they are already in our hands, waiting to be noticed. If you enjoyed this discovery on Jackpot Coin, stay connected because there are many more hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Coins that look simple but carry stories and surprises that can change the way you see everyday money forever. Lincoln wheat penny 1958 D, the Lincoln Wheat Penny of 1958 D, is not just another old coin. It represents the final chapter of one of the most iconic coin series in American history. The wheat penny design ended in 1958, making this coin part of the very last production year before the design changed forever. That alone gives it historical importance, but what makes it even more interesting is how many people still underestimate it. At first glance, the 1958 D wheat penny looks extremely common. You see Abraham Lincoln on the front, and on the back, the famous wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent. The small D mint mark below the date tells us it was minted in Denver. Millions upon millions were produced, and because of that massive mintage, most people assume it has no special value. But in the world of coin collecting, assumption is the biggest mistake beginners make. Here's where things start getting interesting. While circulated examples of this coin are usually only worth a small premium over face value, the real attention goes towards specific conditions and rare variations. Coins that have survived decades without damage, without cleaning, and with their original red copper luster still intact are what collectors actively search for. These are not easy to find anymore. Time, handling, and environmental exposure destroy most coins long before they ever reach collectors' hands. The biggest secret in coin collecting is this: condition is everything. A 1958 D penny that looks slightly different from another 1958 D penny can have a massive difference in value. One may be worth cents, while another in pristine mint state can attract serious collector demand. This is where grading companies like PCGS and NGC come into play. They evaluate coins based on surface quality, strike sharpness, color, and eye appeal. Even a single grade improvement can completely change a coin's market value. Now let's talk about something that excites collectors the most: mint errors. The 1958 D Lincoln Wheat Penny is not famous for extreme rarity and errors, but certain mistakes can still appear. Double die effects, off-center strikes, die cracks, or weak strikes can turn an ordinary coin into a highly desirable collectible. These errors happen during the minting process, when something goes slightly wrong in production, and ironically, those mistakes often become the most valuable features. Collectors also pay close attention to color classification. A 1958 D penny can be brown, red-brown, or full red. The red examples are the most desirable because they retain their original mint copper shine. Over time, copper naturally darkens, so finding a fully red example that has survived untouched for decades is extremely rare. That's why high-grade red specimens can attract strong competition in auctions and private sales. Now here's something many people don't realize. Modern hype and viral videos often exaggerate coin values, sometimes claiming extreme figures like hundreds of thousands or even numbers as high as $1,000 and $300,000 for rare pennies. While these numbers create excitement, real verified auction results depend heavily on authenticity, condition, and actual rarity. Still, the fascination remains powerful, because the idea that a simple penny could reach life-changing value keeps collectors searching every day. The 1958 D penny also carries deep historical significance. It represents the end of the wheat penny era, a design that started back in 1909 with Lincoln's centennial birth celebration. That means when you hold a 1958 D wheat penny, you are holding the final piece of a nearly 50-year legacy. After 1958, the design changed to the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making wheat pennies forever part of American coin history. Another reason this coin remains popular is because discoveries still happen today. People find them in inherited collections, old jars, estate sales, and even coin rolls from banks. Sometimes a coin that was forgotten for decades suddenly reappears and gets reevaluated under modern collecting standards. And that's where surprises can happen. A coin that was once ignored can suddenly become interesting if it is in better than expected condition. If you ever come across a 1958 wheat penny, the first thing you should do is examine it carefully. Look at the color. Check for original shine. Inspect the wheat stalk details on the reverse. Look closely at Lincoln's face for sharpness. And most importantly, never clean it. Cleaning a coin destroys its natural surface and can instantly reduce its collectible value. Most beginners make this mistake without realizing the damage it causes. Even though this coin is not the rarest in the wheat penny series, its importance lies in history, preservation, and collector demand for high-grade examples. Coins that survive in exceptional condition are always in demand, no matter how common the original mintage was. That is the hidden truth of numismatics. Rarity is not just about numbers, it is about survival. And here is the real question that makes this coin so exciting. How many 1958 wheat pennies are still sitting unnoticed in old collections, waiting to be discovered? How many are sitting in jars, drawers, or boxes without anyone realizing their condition or potential? That mystery is exactly what keeps coin hunting alive. So the next time you see a small copper penny from 1958, don't ignore it. Take a closer look. Because in the world of jackpot coin, even the smallest piece of history could hold a story far bigger than its size. And sometimes that story begins with a simple wheat penny that most people would have spent without a second thought.